And Tess, are you looking?
Yeah.
See if it looks blurry on it. So Tina, how does the screen look to you now?
Great.
Okay, let me see what happens when I turn over control.
It went blurry again.
So Tina, I'm going to take control and then just ask you to tell me next.
Okay.
And then we'll see. So first I'm going to see what happens if I abort control. And I'm going to stop that share just so that I can get you a clear share. And then you tell me when you see the share and if it looks clear.
Okay.
So,
Marguerite, do you want me to share the screen? Is that what you're asking? Or do you want me to, it looks clear currently.
It looks clear. Then just tell me next.
Okay. And then next to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we try that, and then after you, we'll stop it and see if we can get it to working the way it's been working the earlier part of the week. So sorry about that.
Yeah, it just went blurry again.
Okay, so I'm going to stop, and everybody, I'm going to stop the share, and what it might do is hopefully it'll still hold the meeting, and then I will log back in.
Hi, Tina, it's Allison. I'm here.
Hi.
I just wanted to say thanks for your patience and thanks to the committee too. We'll get it all squared away here in a moment.
No problem. I now have access and it's not blurry anymore.
It's much better on this end as well, better than the last time even.
Hey, Tina, it looks like you can control it now
I can,
and
yes,
it's not blurry.
it's not blurry.
Okay. All right, then you can go ahead and start. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, good morning. I'm Tina Gregerson, Recreation Coordinator for the City of Spokane Valley. Thank you for your time and consideration for our grant proposal. I will be presenting the Flora River Trail property acquisition. The City of Spokane Valley is located near the eastern border of the state of Washington. We are a relatively new city. The city was incorporated on March 31st, 2003. At the time, it was the largest incorporation in the state and the second largest single incorporation in history. With a population of over 96,000 residents, Spokane Valley is the 9th largest city in Washington state. The incorporated area of Spokane Valley encompasses approximately 38 square miles with room for residential, commercial, and industrial expansion. This map outlines our city limits and shows our existing parks and trails. Within the city, we have a combination of neighborhood, regional, and community parks. The Flora River Trail property is located northeast, as you can see here in yellow. At over 44 acres, this site would be considered between a community and a regional park. We believe that when developed, this park will serve as a regional destination with users coming to this park from not only Spokane Valley, but surrounding areas. Community parks serve approximately a 2-mile radius. Recent population maps would show that approximately 5,000 residents reside within 2 miles of the site, with the majority of them living south of the site. The River Trail property borders Washington State Parks, as seen here in teal. The state parks property is adjacent to the Spokane River. There is currently no public access to the state park. It is landlocked by private property. This acquisition would provide much needed public access through the beautiful Flora River Trail property and to the Spokane River. The first category we will discuss is public need. There is a great local public need to acquire this land. In 2019, the City of Spokane Valley conducted public workshops to establish community needs and update the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for our park system. We asked community members what they liked about Spokane Valley parks and parks in general. The images seen here, known as word clouds, summarize the results of this exercise. A word cloud identifies the frequency of expressions by displaying high frequency words in larger size text. Some of the phrases that stand out include trails, river, more parks, and natural areas. All of these words and phrases encompass the Flora River property trail. Another exercise was conducted during the same workshop to evaluate a collection of policy statements. All the findings were compiled and represented with a weighted gap analysis. In this type of analysis, a high gap value indicates that a significant amount of change is needed. The higher the number, the higher the need. The analysis clearly showed the number one public concern was not enough parkland within Spokane Valley to meet the residents' needs. As you can see on this chart, this concern exceeded the others by over 200%. Many goals were identified during this public master plan process to help shape the city's desired future. I'll share 2 that the acquisition of this property would help us achieve. Prioritize the acquisition and designation of land with natural features and resources. Broaden the recreational opportunities and activities for both residents and visitors. In 2019, the City of Spokane Valley adopted a level of service standard for parks of 3.25 acres per 1,000 residents. You can see by this slide, we are currently in need of 60 acres of parkland to meet this goal. This map was developed to show proposed park locations within Spokane Valley that would satisfy the community's needs based on the recent findings. Each green shaded area is a potential site for a new park. The Flora River Trail property is located within one of the proposed sites, indicated by the star on the map. The Flora River Trail property is found within an area that has multiple concerning underserved populations based on the statewide median demographics. More than 13% of the population in this area live with a disability. As you can see, the median household income within the service area falls below the state average, and the body mass index for ages 16 through 19 is higher than the state average. The next category we will discuss is project scope. The demographic characteristics often provide insight for recreational needs. The Flora River Trail property would provide access to free activities for all ages, abilities, economic, and cultural backgrounds. The property to be acquired with this grant is shown in green and outlined in purple. This 44-acre undeveloped site has many existing natural trails and open space. Once officially open to the public, recreational and educational activities will naturally occur as they do within large open park spaces. Note the red access point on this map. With this acquisition, the public would finally gain access to this beautiful natural public property along with gaining access to the Washington State Parks property, shown in teal, and the Spokane River, which is greatly desired by residents and water enthusiasts. According to Washington State Parks, Spokane Valley's plans for this property align with State Parks' mission. This 44-acre acquisition is part of a larger 46.6-acre parcel that we would be acquiring. We have chosen to omit 2.6 acres for future community partnerships, which will give us some flexibility when going through our master plan process. The omitted 2.6 acres are located on this map, shaded in a muted green, just southeast of the property. This Flora River Trail property has many recreational opportunities and unlimited potential. We are excited to start a public master plan process once the property is acquired. Park amenities and future site development will be finalized after the master plan process is complete. This future large wooded park will provide a variety of community-defined recreational opportunities. We envision these to include hiking, group shelters, camping, biking, and interpretive trails, just to name a few. Immediacy of threat. There are two major threats associated with the purchase of this property. First, losing this opportunity to other interested parties, and second, losing access to one of the last remaining large parcels of land in the city. In a recent article in the Spokesman Review, the Spokane Valley City Attorney states there are other entities looking to purchase this site for an apartment complex or a gravel pit. Also noted in this article, the Spokane Valley City Manager states that there are likely no more parcels of land left of this size in the city limits. The City of Spokane Valley is one of several potential buyers for this property. Washington Department of Transportation owns and has recently identified this as surplus property for sale. Spokane Valley developed as an urbanized area of Spokane County for decades. This development pattern leaves many partially used sites with one single family residence on an acre or more of land. This land use pattern makes it difficult to acquire larger sized parcels for park use and ensure access to formal parks. With this acquired land, the city would preserve one of the last remaining natural properties and provide usable parkland for all. We will now discuss site suitability. This is an amazing aerial shot of the entire Flora River Trail property. Imagine all the recreational opportunities and potential that this site creates. As you can see from this picture and the next, about 20% of the site is covered with mixed conifer forest, which is great for walking trails and picnic areas. In fact, current natural trails exist that are suitable for pedestrians and cyclists. The other 80% is open field, making development easy for open space activities and does not require extensive tree removal. The existing vegetation and topography help define different use areas to minimize site impact. This site provides opportunity to create future trail connections to Sullivan Park. It also provides the potential to extend the Centennial Trail on the north side of the Spokane River through our partnership with Washington State Parks, which we'll talk about next with expansion and renovation. Trails are one of our most important amenities to our citizens. The Centennial Trail is one of the most widely used recreational assets in Spokane Valley, with 2.5 million users per year running through Spokane and into North Idaho. Acquiring this site would help us expand our trails, and as you can see by this map, this property fits perfectly into our current park system and has potential to provide future connections to already existing trail located west and east of the site that could connect to parks in the area. This property would expand current parkland by 18%, and this could be Spokane Valley's first opportunity to offer camping to our park system. Project support. When learning of this amazing grant opportunity, we received 11 letters of support. We were truly blown away by the amount of support we received for this project from a wide range of organizations within our community. Organizations included local businesses, school districts, recreation and river groups, trail enthusiasts, youth organizations, and more. Each support letter states why this site will benefit their organization in unique ways. We want to highlight our partnership and support from Washington State Parks. Spokane Valley Parks and Recreation has a long-standing working relationship with Washington State Parks, as several of our existing parks border Washington State Park property. Our current partnership allows us to share maintenance responsibilities of their property and trails. If this property is acquired, we anticipate working together to provide river access and amenities on State Parks property. To quote their letter of support, as the overall manager of the Spokane River Centennial Trail State Park, Washington State Parks supports the city of Spokane Valley's vision for the Flora Road property. Cost efficiencies. In order to achieve cost efficiencies with the acquisition of this property, successful community partnerships are essential. These partnerships include a maintenance agreement with Washington State Parks, partnering with local groups such as Boy Scouts and the River Keepers to provide volunteer opportunities and financial assistance for the construction of trails, launch areas, benches, interpretive signage, and general site cleanups and maintenance. Spokane Valley Chamber of Commerce promotes an outdoor initiative through collaboration with local business, government entities, and citizen groups. This outdoor initiative encourages opportunities to enhance quality of recreation, nature, and parks. The acquisition of this property is the #1 priority of the Parks and Recreation Department and the #1 acquisition project for our city council. To secure this last remaining large parcel of land within our city limits would be an enormous gain for our region and for future generations in this area. Thank you for your time and consideration. I can now answer any questions that you have.
Team members, it looks like Brian has a question.
Yeah, thanks, Marguerite. I just had a question. If you could go back to one of your immediacy of threat slides. I may have missed it because I was trying to add my other scores in, but did you say that the parcel is owned by the Washington State DOT, and is it for sale right now, or is it going to be for sale? I didn't get a sense of if there's an offer on the land or kind of the status of that.
Sure. So it is currently for sale. We have not purchased this property, but Washington State Department of Transportation has surplus the land. Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to Glenn.
Yeah, could you go back to the slide? I think it was on the partners, or what I'm not clear on is it's this property's relationship to the Centennial Trail. It looked like it was south of the river, but I couldn't tell from that diagram.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn that question to Mike Stone, Director of Parks and Recreation. Just a minute.
Good morning, I'm Mike Stone. Yes, the Centennial Trail currently is on the south side of the river. And
Could you bring that slide up again?
do you want me to?
You might need to double click to get control again.
So what slide is he wanting? 16.
No. Go back forward.
One more.
Stop.
we go. So currently the Centennial Trail runs along the south side. And there has long been discussion with the Friends of the Centennial Trail and Washington State Parks that they would love to have a loop trail. And so you can see Barker over on the east-hand side. That would be a logical place to connect a loop trail and bring it back along the north side of the river. So it would go through this property, tie in with our existing Sullivan Park, and also with our existing Marabou Point Park. So the thought would be to move forward with trying to develop a loop trail, as many of the users really feel that would be of some benefit.
And you also show the future trail connections. Do you have any rights along the river that would facilitate that connection?
Well, we obviously State Parks owns all the property really along the river. And so we have as we mentioned before, a very outstanding working relationship. So if we needed to get access to the public, to the river, we believe we have all the tools in place to accomplish that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Brian, did you have another question? Okay, Roxanne, did you have a question?
Yeah, just quickly on, looks like you have a ton of great partners that are going to help with the development side. Are there any financial contributions from those agencies, or looks like the Riverkeeper Group for the appropriation or the acquisition itself, or is that all City of Spokane Valley money?
So it's all City of Spokane Valley money currently. We do not have any cash donations. However, we have such great support, and we've had many conversations with these groups that they will come forward and help with fundraising and building and projects and those type of things. So we are confident with our partnerships and our support that we won't have a problem with that, but we do not currently have any cash donations.
Thank you.
Just ask if there are any other questions.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions from team members?
And then just tell her.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tina. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, but really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for helping us work through it. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again. And we will go ahead and start the next project in just a moment.
At 45 at the golf course for lunch with Lane, if you're available.
Hello.
Hi, Marguerite.
Are you presenting Deer Park?
I am.
Great.
We had a little technical issues also, so I had to switch computers.
Well, not as bad as mine. I'm going to see if I've gotten mine fixed here now. So Tessa and I, if not, I'll switch back and let her be in control, but we're going to try this and see if it all works. So the first thing I'm going to do is to share my screen. And one of the things you're looking for is to see when I share my screen, if it goes blurry or if it looks normal. So are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, I do. It's not as clear as the first screen you had, but it's, or as the last presenters, but I can see
Okay,
everything on
let's
it.
try it. Let's triflora, oops, I want to go to the next project. Yours is Swinyard Park splash
Yes.
pad.
Now it's all blurry.
Okay, everything went blurry for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's there, but it's
Okay.
not very great.
Okay, so I'm going to have Tessa share her screen, and then we'll see if we can make that work better for you. So Tessa, don't turn on any sound, just share your screen. I need to stop sharing. Okay, I'll look at security, share screen. So now try it. Okay, now Swinyard.
That's a lot better.
Okay, good, thank you. And she is going to open your presentation, and then we're going to see if she can share the mouse with you. Okay, so why don't you double click to see if you have control of the mouse?
I can, yep, okay.
Tessa, it looks like you clicked out of it.
Yeah, so I can move my mouse around, but when I double clicked, it went away, so.
Okay, she's going to try it again.
My message says I can control Tessa's screen.
That's a good thing. Now, what I'd like you to do is to use their arrows and see can you move forward. I think you have to first click on the screen to have control of the mouse.
So the arrows do
so
not
what-
move it.
So why don't you just, when you're ready to go to the next slide, just say next and we'll move the slides for you.
Very good.
You may begin.
Thank you. Hello, my name's Roger Krieger. I'm the Community Services Director for the City of Deer Park. I'm pleased to present to you our recreation project the community has been actually working on under City Council direction since 2016. Next slide, please. So Deer Park, for familiarity, we're located in the eastern portion of Washington State, northern Spokane County, real close to Stevens and Pend Oreille County as shown on this map. The white circle represents a 10-mile service area that we've identified for this project here in Deer Park. Next slide, please. This map is a picture from our comprehensive plan update that shows all of our parks within the city limits of Deer Park, shows urban growth area boundaries. You'll notice on the far eastern portion where the airport is, that's just an area that really is committed to by federal rules to the airport. We have an open recreation trail use area out there, but it's all owned by the airport. So from a growth standpoint and population center, the splash pad project here at Swinyard Park is basically in the center where the residential growth has occurred and will continue to recur. In 2016, this project started with a feasibility study to identify if a splash pad was a project that would work within the city limits or not. And the council, with their majority, budgeted for that. So we completed that in 2017. And during that study, the project was looked at, and Swinyard Park was chosen as a community access for the public, as well as infrastructure connections for the water and the sewer would be minimal and affordable. And also the current park setting with all of its components lent itself to the best location. Next slide, please. Availability of outdoor recreation facilities within our service area is very limited. This map shows the location of the nearest facility at the far south end portion of it. It is a zero entry pool that is owned by Spokane County. And at the north portion of the site along Highway 395, there's a lake shown in Stevens County at the northwest edge of the service area. Both charge entry fees that do affect the low and moderate income residents of our city and community. Our facilities, both existing in the swimming pool and this new facility, are free to all the public residents and folks from the counties. We don't charge any fees for access to our current swimming pool. It is all covered by the city council and the general fund. Next slide. After the feasibility study, we proceeded to update our 2019 Comprehensive Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Plan. That started in 17, worked all through 18, finished in 2019. And the city leaders, we used questionnaires for public outreach and held public workshops, public hearings, a SEPA review, and the splash pad and water feature were warmly received and would be a well-used addition to the city of Deer Park. Both the Planning Commission, whom had drafted the update, and the city council who adopted the plans held multiple meetings with community members to come up with the best available option for a splash pad facility and other recreation improvements. Our comp plan is available on our city website. Next slide, please. This slide shows the city of Deer Park and the median household income, which is well below the statewide average for the area. The city of Deer Park, using the most recent census data, shows that approximately 54.64% of our population meet this low and moderate income threshold. In the past, we've used Spokane County Community Development Block Grant funds for funding numerous infrastructure projects over the last 15 years as a result of this number that is well lower than the standards within the state. Because of that, the large percentage of low and moderate income individuals can't access the many lakes in our areas, as all of them charge daily swim fees and are quite expensive in the relation to costs when compared to the city of Deer Park free use of our recreation facilities, and the wet areas that we have and propose to provide cannot be matched. In addition, this park and its features are within walking distance to all the citizens of Deer Park and supports a surrounding population in this 10-mile radius of approximately 15,000 people. This splash pad project and pathway will provide ADA accessibility to all the features of the park: swimming pool, restrooms, basketball court, parking area, etc., to encourage exercise and be safely monitored. Next slide. This slide shows the body mass index of ages 16 to 19, again, well above the Washington state average. The splash pad is predicted to help provide a level of exercise for the age bracket of 4 to 8-year-olds in Deer Park in order to reduce pre-adolescence obesity. This free splash pad, we hope, will encourage low to moderate income youth to embrace a summertime exercise routine and get out of the low or the high body mass index that seems to occur. In addition, the pathway around the park will make access available to all the features within the park for those with disabilities, as well as a pathway with marked distances to encourage healthy exercise within the park by walking, skating, or riding bicycles. The mortality rate as well can be viewed not only as connected to healthy BMI, but also looked at for the type of use or exercise or play facility for the children. This facility will minimize small children drowning risk by removing the wading pool and replacing it with a splash pad. One of the primary reasons or comments received through the feasibility study and through the public hearing process. In addition, the health of for our young children will be improved. Small wading pools, small children, there's accidents that occur in the wading pools with young children, and that water tends to mix with the water that's in there. And our current wading pool is not a situation where the water is filtered and constantly flushed through there. And so other children will be in there during the day. Finally, the pool gets drained each evening, and you can understand the issues or conflicts there. The splash pad will provide fresh chlorinated water and drain constantly to the sewer system of the city and achieving a public health benefit. Next slide. So these pictures here show the intent of the components of the project. The wading pool in the top slide is the feature that is fenced in right now, has water that's standing there from rainfall when this picture was taken. And the slide to the right of it is the new conceptual splash pad with features spraying out water. We feel that this replacement recreational facility will increase safety, again, provide a fresh chlorinated water to the users. It's user-friendly. The way they're built now, they are very low maintenance. It's centrally located within the city. And the pathway, as a future slide, you'll see it has a meandering route through the park to preserve the trees that are there. It'll be safe, off-street, ADA accessible, and it'll connect with the various facilities within the park, the pool, the parking lot, the restroom, and other features that are there. Next slide. And this picture shows the various components. The splash pad and its location, the pathway that leads between it and the pool house building, the walking trail that goes around the park. It's about 3/10 of a mile in length, connects to the skate park we have there, the ADA restroom we have there, the parking lot and the ADA parking area, basketball court, and meanders around the trees to the swings and the play sets and back. The primary recreation opportunity provided by the project will be an active aquatic play area for our youngest park users, as well as the only place in the city of Deer Park or northern Spokane County, southern Stevens or Pend Oreille County, where people with disabilities can play in the water unassisted or on accessible structure. Next slide. This slide is very busy. It shows the various cost components that were determined when we completed the feasibility study that set our project targets and goals. The feasibility study in 2017 did enough a detailed review so that we had engineering firms involved with the splash pad site development, helping to choose the best location as it relates to infrastructure, both water and sewer in the area, and to show accurate cost estimates so we had a well-defined project budget. The city of Deer Park is very dedicated to using its own labor to help reduce the costs, and plan on, with the resolution adopted, completing this project well under budget. Next slide. This is a picture from above showing the pathway, again, meandering through the park, the connectivity between the splash pad and the various other elements of the park. Next slide, please. So we've designed this project to deal with exercise facility for youth. We also looked at it, making sure that we had efficient water flow to the various elements. We are reducing some grass areas to try to make it a less impact on the design and maintain the trees that are out throughout the park, and to not lose any of the future facilities that we have there relative to removing of trees and grass and things like that. Next slide. When we looked at this project during the feasibility study, other park locations were considered. Renovation at this site versus new elsewhere was determined to be the best value due to the existing nearby infrastructure. The pool staffing was already provided there to manage the area, manage the park. Parent observation for both facilities, different age users. They don't have to travel from park to park. And additional recreation features on the site easily linked with the ADA pathway and for the new exercise use and expansion. Next slide. The citywide survey started at 277 survey responses, public workshops between the Planning Commission and the City Council, public hearings between the Planning Commission and City Council, SEPA analysis. All those parts of the project were completed as part of the comprehensive plan update. Again, that's on our website and available. Next slide. Some of the comments that we received through the splash pad feasibility study in the Parks Rec plan: entertainment for young children splash pad. Love the idea of a running bike path, public water fountains, walking paths. All were points that led to this decision by the City Council. Next slide. And in closing, we feel that this facility will give us lower operating costs for the pool area. There's no lifeguard needed. There's no land acquisition costs. All the existing utilities are available in the streets or on the site. Department of Health has been contacted. The match of $215,000 has been set in the budget. We have the resolution that adopted it with the council support. And then we have much in-kind labor by our city staff to finish the project. With that, I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Questions or comments from the team members? We're giving them a minute. Okay, Savannah?
In the application, it said it's a spray to waste system. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and is the cost of water for that then going to, because it said lower operating costs, so I'm wondering if that's was factored into the operating costs compared to the wading pool?
Yes, it was. The wading pool is a situation where we fill it with water from the pool each day and then drain it off. So it's the waste of about 40,000 gallons of water a day.
Okay.
And then we put that into the new pool. So and then in the big pool, we have to heat that water, chlorinate it to a different level. So that's kind of why it's a little bit less expensive to do it this way. We tried to use that water for irrigation purposes of the park. Department of Ecology was involved in that decision, and once it becomes in contact with people, it turns it to a wastewater. The operation costs, a certified operator, cleaning, screening the water, just made it not cost effective to try and do it that way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jill, you have a question or comment?
Thank you. I just had a question, and I don't know if I just heard it incorrectly or not. You said that you were removing some grass to keep down the costs?
Yeah, the concrete area for the splash pad, and then there's a 10-foot ring around it as a dry area, a transition area. Both those areas are quite a bit larger than the existing wading pool. So when the wading pool is tore out, the grass is tore out of there, there is some savings in the amount of irrigation area that'll be needed for that grass area around the pool. And then the pathway, we'll have to do some sprinkler head adjustments. And so there's an combination, there's quite a bit of area that won't be irrigated anymore, and thus a water savings to the park.
Okay, thank you.
Great. John, you have a question or comment?
Yes, thanks, Marguerite. Nice presentation. Can you confirm for us, I saw on your design slide about the pathway connecting the other elements in the park. So looking at the aerial here, I just wanted to hear you confirm that the pathway will provide ADA access to the basketball court area, which I think is in the kind of upper left, and also how it will connect with the restroom building there that's adjacent to the pool.
So currently the public restroom is connected by a sidewalk to the parking area. So we have an ADA parking spot that connects straight to the bathroom. And that also connects to the skate park area. But those areas between your right aren't connected. So this pathway will come from the ADA parking area in that parking lot and be able to route around through the trees, come into it'd be the west side of the basketball courts, and then tie in, and it's a meandering path that goes through there. There won't be connectivity from a walkway standpoint to the swing sets and some of those. And then it'll attach back to the splash pad and then carry back down to the parking lot. The one screen, I don't have it up on my screen here, shows the aerial of it a lot clearer than I'm looking at the final one, the cost efficiencies. So it's not as easy to explain.
No, that's helpful. Thank you.
Couple more, you might have it.
Go back a little further. Yeah.
That one. Yeah, that one there. So this bottom end of the picture where it makes this loop, we actually have a sewer lift station right there. And so this pathway can tie into that park or to that basketball court in that location.
Okay.
And in the future, it could extend over towards the skate park as well. But the bathroom that where it says new ADA connectivity from the parking lot, that handicap parking space is right there and the bathroom is right next to it right there as well. The other nice thing this will do is it provides a pathway. Our plan is to provide a pathway at grade so that the pool building is more accessible to folks trying to get in. It's an older pool built in the 50s, so you can imagine how it was built and the ways around it. And we have to work a little bit to get folks with needs into that pool. It's done. We have the lifts and all that kind of stuff, but this hopefully will make it easier for that as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Jill, did you have another question or a comment? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Roger. We appreciate it.
I very much appreciate the time. Thanks for you guys' consideration, and I appreciate all the hard work you guys have to do.
Good deal. Thank you. The next project up is Rocklands from Winthrop. So we are going to pull that slide up. And Rockland, you've got your mic working?
I think so. Can you hear me?
I can see you and I can hear you now. Good
Great.
deal. So Tessa is going to see if she can turn the controls over to you.
Okay.
And let's try that.
Let's see. So,
Okay, so now why don't you double click to make sure you have control? And then
Okay.
see, can you move your slide forward?
let's see, I'm trying, but is there anything I need to do on my end?
Did you double click to get control?
I think so. It says, okay, yes, I do have control.
Okay.
Awesome. Great.
Good.
Yay.
Okay. I am resetting the clock and you may begin.
Okay. My name is Rockland Culp. I'm the planner for the town of Winthrop. And today I'm presenting the Meadowlark Natural Area Development. Winthrop is in the process of acquiring the Meadowlark Natural Area through a 2018 WWRP project. Meadowlark is a 142-acre open space park with a newly developed hiking trail. Once the town completes the acquisition, we want to move quickly to develop it with a trailhead parking area, a fully accessible trail to a viewing area, a picnic area, and a restroom. Winthrop is located in the Methow Valley of North Central Washington. We're 40 miles from Omak, which is the population center of Okanogan County. The nearest sizable city is Wenatchee, 100 miles away, and Seattle is about 240 miles away over Snoqualmie Pass. Although Winthrop itself is small, our town is a lively tourist destination. Our recreation facilities serve a much broader population, including more than 600,000 tourists who visit our community each year. The project, or Winthrop, is shown here in purple, and Meadowlark Natural Area is shown in yellow, immediately adjacent to Winthrop. The property lies between Winthrop and Peregrine Lake State Park, creating an opportunity for a future connection. Number one, public need. The Methow Valley enjoys vast swaths of public lands that provide access for many types of outdoor recreation. Focusing in on Winthrop, we have two main park facilities. The first is McLeod Park, which is a traditional town park with ball fields, tennis courts, and picnic areas. The second is our community ice rink. Okanagan County owns Setequa Park to the north, which offers 10 acres of open space and a short stretch of trail. We also have the Susie Stevens Trail shown in blue. Peregrine Lake State Park is a 15-minute drive away and it is not connected by trail. We have identified our greatest need as access to walking trails that are available without driving and without paying fees. This project satisfies needs identified in the state recreation plan and in our local planning efforts. While demographically only 4% of our population is people of color, this project does provide equity of access to an economically underserved population and ensures greater equity and opportunities for disabled people. Winthrop has a median household income of $41,000, which is about 2/3 of Washington's median income. 20% of Winthrop households live on less than $25,000 per year. Housing costs here are high and wages are well below state averages. This puts a high percentage of our local population at an economic disadvantage. State parks, the Forest Service, and Met How Trails all charge user fees, which are a barrier to many of our residents. Free access to places to walk ensures greater equity in access to recreation, as well as health and community well-being. Winthrop's Open Space Park will provide opportunities for walking and access to nature, which are the top two priorities identified in the state recreation plan. This statewide preference is reflected locally, and in our 2018 park plan, acquisition and development of an open space park was placed as a high priority. The state recreation plan tells us most people enjoy recreating close to home. Currently, there are no trails longer than a half mile in Winthrop and very few options for ADA trail use. Opportunities to walk on a trail in a natural setting without driving at least 15 minutes to a trailhead are limited. This project changes that for those who can't afford trail fees and who have limited mobility. Meadowlark Natural Area provides an excellent opportunity for interpretive exhibits and educational programs that highlight the high-quality shrub steppe habitat. The 142 acres offers room for varied recreation experiences across the spectrum of interest and ability. Without the trailhead and ADA facilities, there will be issues with people parking in the neighborhood and trying to access the park from informal routes. This project ensures that the needs we identified with the original project are fulfilled and Meadowlark becomes truly open to the broadest possible cross-section of people. Number 2, project scope. We're delighted to be purchasing this 142 acres of intact habitat with fantastic views of the North Cascades. Our project partners at the Met How Conservancy have already developed the 2¼ mile loop, a portion of which is seen here. With this project, we are focusing on developing Meadowlark so that it is more broadly accessible for our community and its visitors. The scope of our project includes development of an easily accessed flat site at the toe of the hillside with a trailhead that includes parking for 24 cars, a vault toilet, and a covered picnic area. The project also includes widening and asphalt surfacing for a 1/4 mile segment of ADA accessible trail. The ADA trail segment culminates at one of 2 view areas that will be developed. The second view area will be located at a higher elevation along the existing trail loop. The location of the picnic area and the 2 view areas highlight fabulous views across the Met How Valley. Number 4, project design. Meadowlark Natural Area is located at the eastern edge of Winthrop, bordering a residential area and a cemetery as shown in this slide. The green highlighting shows the area where the trailhead, ADA trail, and 2 view areas will be located. We have a preliminary design for the trailhead parking area that extends off the end of the residential street. We have included asphalt surfacing to facilitate easier long-term maintenance and more efficient parking. Due to the location at the edge of town, installation of utilities would be costly, so we plan to install a vault toilet. From the trailhead parking area, a short trail will lead to a fully accessible and sheltered picnic area and to the existing trail network. The ADA trail will be widened to a 4-foot asphalt surface with pullouts that meet ADA. The trail segment will be a 1/4 mile out and back to the lower elevation view area. Trail grades will be maintained at 1 to 2% for most of the trail, though there may be a short stretch where the trail is up to 5%. The view areas will offer benches and interpretive signs describing the features of the shrub steppe habitat. Our project costs are based on estimates for similar work as well as costs for current projects. Number 5, sustainability and environmental stewardship. According to WDFW, less than 50% of Washington's historic shrub steppe remains, and they have listed it as a priority habitat for protection. We scoped this project to preserve this important habitat while providing an opportunity for people to recreate in a protected landscape. Our project scope contains the more intense development to land at the toe of the hillside that was previously cleared. The ADA trail follows a buried irrigation line, again in an area that was previously disturbed. Signage will emphasize the importance of staying on developed trails and viewing areas. We will be closing the park for the month of March each year when deer population is at its most vulnerable to disturbance. We will be requiring dogs to be leashed to protect the critters that live in the shrub steppe habitat. Our project protects native vegetation and creates opportunity for environmental education. Met Howe Conservancy plans to continue to work with us on weed control and other efforts to maintain the quality habitat. Together, we will develop interpretive signage that educates park users on the unique ecosystem. As climate change progresses, the Met Howe Valley is likely to see more drought, wildfire, and flash flooding. Intact landscapes function to buffer us from the more severe impacts of climate change. By providing recreation in proximity to neighborhoods, we reduce the impact of car trips used to reach remote trailheads. Number 7, expansion or renovation. This project expands the opportunities available in Meadowlark. The recreation opportunities here remain a local secret because there is no developed access. Also, the existing trail system is fairly steep, thereby limiting the range of people who can comfortably walk there. The trailhead, picnic area, and ADA segment expand the options for enjoying Meadowlark, making it accessible to a broader public. This project expands Meadowlark into the high-quality open space park we envisioned when we received WWRP funding for the purchase. Number 8, project support. Trails and open spaces emerged as top priorities in our 2018 park plan. More people use trails than anything else our system has to offer. Our most recent park survey sought specifically to determine support for a large open space park adjacent to town with opportunities for walking and enjoying the natural environment. The survey revealed that 87% supported the acquisition and development of the park, and 75% said that trails were the most important type of amenity. The strong partnership between Winthrop and the Met Howe Conservancy shows a great community dedication to the project. The Conservancy contributed 40% of the match for the acquisition. They have set the project up for ongoing success by partially developing the property, completing a stewardship plan, and inviting significant volunteer investment that creates a strong sense of dedication to this landscape. The following entities have offered letters of support: Winthrop Chamber of Commerce, Met Howe Trails, the Met Howe Trails Collaborative, Okanagan County Commissioners, and some neighboring landowners. Number 9, cost efficiencies. The project contains significant cost efficiencies through ongoing partnership with the Met Howe Conservancy. They paid for preliminary design of the trailhead and paid entirely for the design and construction of the existing trail, which enables the town to move forward with this project with a less costly scope of work. We are keeping this project cost effective by developing the trailhead on flat ground, by choosing surfacing that will minimize maintenance for our Public Works Department, and utilizing a vault toilet to avoid a prohibitive cost of extending utilities. The Public Works Department will do much of the site prep and construct the picnic shelter to help save on construction costs. The Met Howe Conservancy has offered volunteer labor to help with this project and ongoing stewardship. So we view Meadowlark Natural Area as a huge win for our community, and we look forward to seeing it serve more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Rockland. It looks like John has a question for you.
Thank you, Marguerite. Hi, Rockland. I really like this project and especially how it helps bring your community members out into the trails as well as all those people who visit. I was wondering if you could go back to just the aerial shot that kind of shows the whole town of Winthrop and the location of the project for a minute.
That was one of the earliest slides, right?
That's right.
This one?
Oh, that one right there. That would be great.
Okay.
Could you help walk the committee through what it's like to walk from, let's say, a neighborhood a little further away in town to the site and then up into the area?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is
Let
that
me
like?
see if I can get that. Isn't there a tool that I can?
Maybe a pointer?
well,
Or-
I don't
Just
see.
just use your mouse. to
Okay, I'll
click.
just use my mouse. Okay, so say this neighborhood right here is one of our most populated areas of town, and it's kind of more of a mixed low income area. And so those people can walk along town streets, and there's a street loop that goes here. And off the end of that street, there's actually the Met Health Conservancy put in a little leg of trail that comes up here and connects to Meadowlark. And then alternately, you can walk probably the primary path from this part of town and from downtown would be to come along Castle Avenue here and then up this Roses Hill Street to Worcester Way, and the trailhead is right at the end of that street, right next to the cemetery.
Great. Okay, that's helpful. And then I had a second question, if that's all right. If you could go to your design slide where we had a view of the parking area. You had mentioned at one point parking for 24 stalls, but then it looked like maybe it was more like right there, 24 stalls plus 18, maybe more. And then I wanted to,
yeah,
if you could clarify that.
Yeah, good catch. Part of this project, it's kind of a complicated thing, but it was a multiple way land transaction to work with the cemetery and some of the neighboring landowners where there was really confused ownership. And we worked with them to sort of resolve that. And one of the things that the cemetery really needed was some additional space for parking. Okay. So that space is actually on town property, but it's dedicated for the use of the cemetery.
I see. No, that's very helpful.
Yeah, so we're trying to accommodate multiple needs and be really good neighbors here.
So one other suggestion or question I had related to the parking then would be whether there's room for a school bus to come in and park. If there's a field trip, you mentioned the educational opportunities. Where would a school bus park if they were to bring a field trip out?
That's a really good question. And we did talk about that. And well, basically they would have to park, take several stalls, and we might have to cone it off or something so that they could if there was a trip coming, to make sure. Gotcha. We don't anticipate the use of this to be so we expect it to be very intense during the summer months, but in the fall, once tourist season is kind of worked its way to a minimum, I think and when school starts, it's more accessible for buses, and it would be less competitive trying to get them in there.
That sounds reasonable. And you might be able to tweak the design a little bit for that.
Yeah, and we might. Yeah, that's, the loop design, part of that was making sure that emergency vehicles and buses could get easily around and through that area.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we've already spent about 3.5 minutes and we only have 7 or 8 here. So very quickly, we'll move on to, I think Doug was next.
Good morning. Great project. I loved it. I just had one question in your metrics on Prism here, your basics. You do have a local appropriation of 70,000, but you've got listed a cash donation of 15,000, donated labor of 5,000, and donated materials of 5,000. And maybe I missed it, but I didn't see that in your cost efficiencies. I did see that force account labor was in there for the public works guys to do work, but can you account for those for me so I can give you some points for them?
Sure. Yeah. Again, working with the Met Health Conservancy, we don't have donations in hand, but they have indicated that they are on board to help us, you know, bring in donations for the project. And then the town, the town has, you know, committed to having some local match, which is significant for our community because we're small. And so that's a big chunk of cash for us to set aside. So that's a significant thing. And then of course we've involved our public works department, and they've actually already kind of started working on leveling the ground and getting it set up.
So Rockland, just to be clear, anything that you've done, leveling the ground and all of that kind of stuff, if you've done it ahead of the grant, it won't count as much.
Correct. We
So
understand. We understand that.
I think the simple basic question is the level of confidence that you have about your donors coming through. I don't know if you have something in writing.
We have high confidence about that because it's the Met Howe Conservancy is, you know, they've already contributed enormously, and they're very, very invested in seeing this succeed because their name is attached to it as well. So we feel very confident that they're solid partners.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to move on. Roxanne, you have a question or comment?
I was curious about what's the planning driver for the picnic shelter? Saw a lot of demand for the trails, but how did that end up being an element in this project? In which planning documents or public process drove that?
That we had significant public process with Met Howe Conservancy when we were kind of scoping the project. And really the picnic shelter comes out of wanting to make this more accessible and provide a broader range of opportunities. You're correct that it didn't come, you know, it wasn't identified as a huge thing in our park planning survey, but having a facility like this, we want to make sure that everybody can use it. And one way to do that is to add a few more amenities, and the picnic shelter seemed like a really obvious amenity to allow people with limited mobility to have an opportunity to enjoy this site.
Thank you. Any other questions, Roxanne? We're going to move on to Glenn.
Thank you. Staying on that project design slide, if I'm a visitor, I don't live in Winthrop and I want to access this, how do I currently access this site?
Right now, you would drive to the end of the residential street and you would park in the parking for the cemetery, which the cemetery folks would get a little annoyed about. And then you would walk along the trail's already there and you can see it, it's signed, and you could get there.
So it's an obvious access point?
I would say it's findable if you know where to look.
So as a visitor, it would not be findable.
Yeah, I mean, we have not wanted to put it out there publicly. Well, we don't own it yet. We will own it by the end of the year, but with our project partners at the Conservancy, we haven't wanted to publicly put information out that it's available to, you know, visitors, because there's a huge issue with where are people going to park. And
so part of the project is actually not just the parking, but also the access drive and cul-de-sac that you've shown there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you.
Any last questions? John, did we get all of your questions answered? I think that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks for all your time.
Really appreciate it. And John says all of his questions were answered. So thank you very much. Hey, team members, we're going to take a break. You have earned your break. And while we're taking our break, Tessa and Brian, at least Brian Carpenter, are going to try to figure out our technical issue here. So if you come back and you are kicked out of the meeting, just please quickly log back in and we'll get the meeting back up and running as quickly as we can. And right now it's 10:15, so let's plan on our next project proposal. Let's see if we can all get back together at about 11:30. if that works for everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience, and hopefully we can get our technical difficulties resolved. Thank you.
You meant, hey, Marguerite, you meant
10:30?
10:30, right?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, man, I was about to get another project done.
Yeah, no,
See you in
no, John.
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Much done.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Hey, Brian, I'm going to log out of the meeting, and it'll leave it with Tessa, and then I'm going to come back in and see, can we figure this one out? So here I go. First, I'm going to stop our live stream.